Hi guys, and welcome back to the fourth episode in the first series of In the Hot Seat with Emily Diala and Dr. Viviana Coles. I'm Emily and this is Dr. Coles, and we are so excited that you guys are joining us again today.
Today's our second part.
Yes.
So it gets a little bit broken down, but you're going to love it. So today we're going to be talking about more factors that influence sexual desire for both men and women. Last episode we talked a little bit about the high stress, low time as as influencing our sexual desire. And today we're going to talk more about
we're going to get a little deeper
and religion.
Yes.
And how we're socialized. Because a lot of those things we notice in our clients have impacted them more often than not negatively. Not always, but then we don't see those people. We see the people who it does impact them negatively. Parts of their upbringing, parts of their cultural and spiritual belief system.
Right. So I think one thing that is unique, so both Dr. Coles and I practice in Houston, Texas, which is the most diverse city per capita in the United States, more so even than New York. So we both get clients from all different kinds of culture and religious backgrounds, which I love. I mean, it keeps me on my toes. I'm always learning something new. Definitely. So we have people from all walks of life. Let's talk a little bit about culture. What would you say that you notice in terms of like how men are socialized versus how women are socialized to think about sex?
Well, I've definitely seen that for a long time. I was seeing clients where men would come in with this idea that doesn't everybody think this way and feel this way about sex? And then they look at their partner who is looking at them like, what's going on here? And they're thinking that there's something wrong with their partner. Right. It's not that there's something wrong with them. It's just different. It's different. And that happens a lot with the way that we're socialized. You know, men tend to begin their exploration of their sexuality before women do. And we're socialized in the US and in many other countries that that's the case. We allow men, we joke about it, we have myths about it, about sexual individuality. Whereas with women, it's kind of like a no-fly zone until you're at an age where it's okay to explore that with a man.
Or if you're married, you know, that's kind of like the cutoff. It's suddenly, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, and then you're married and now it's okay.
And that is like, not just is it okay, but now you've got to do it.
Right, exactly.
And you got to do it that night. And I do find that some of the couples that come in have trouble consummating their marriages because of that pressure that's put on. There's no transition. Maybe they haven't gone into premarital counseling, which we like to stress here. But and so all of a sudden it's like, wedding night, wait a minute, I have to do this, and what am I supposed to do? And I know the mechanics, but this doesn't.
They don't realize how much emotion it's. You know, they're taught that it should just be natural.
Well, it's just gonna.
I have news. All sexual behavior is learned. You know, whether it's taught to us or we kind of figure it out with our partner. It's just not this automatic thing like breathing that happens naturally. We have to learn it. I love to ask couples what the family dynamic was around sex growing up. Generally, I put families into one of four categories. So there are families who are very shut down around sex. It's like, these are your eyes, this is your mouth, these are your knees, these are your toes, nothing here exists, we're not going to talk about it. There are families who are very sex negative, so that's the underwriting message, like sex is wrong, sex is dirty, good girls don't do that, don't touch yourself there. It's just very negative energy.
You'll grow hair on your palms.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy myths. There are families who are maybe overly open about sex. Perhaps dad just leaves the Playboys lying around, or in this day and age, the porn on the computer, and there's really no discussion of healthy sexuality. And then there are families who are healthy. You know, they utilize teachable moments. There's ongoing discussion and dialogue, which I think is key. It's not a one and done.
When it comes to having that sex talk, it's definitely something that more and more parents are becoming aware of, that we need to do it sooner.
Yes.
But how to do it is still a question. And we'll have clients that come in who want to specifically get some feedback and a guide as to, hey, we need to talk to our 9, 10, 11-year-old about
what's
this.
age appropriate. You know what I love is that, like in a lot of Scandinavian countries, the discussion about sex and relationships, they don't separate the boys and girls, number one, which I think is so key, really because you have to be comfortable talking to the opposite sex about sex. And so
or else you'll end up in
way,
sex therapy later on because you don't have that communication.
Yeah, so they don't separate the boys and girls, so they're comfortable. It's like no big deal. And then it starts very early on. They use appropriate names for the genitalia. I mean,
From
you
the
call,
beginning.
yeah, you call an elbow, you should call a vulva.
Exactly.
Calling it anything else can create like a shame or taboo.
And there are
around it.
many really good books out there that are
Yeah.
on the shelves that are, or if you want to go online, you'll see even more. But there's so many books that can help you create this open environment talking about sexuality and your sexual, your reproductive system and your body parts, which are all a big key part of all of this. But socializing your children to know about their bodies, that is never going to be a bad thing.
Right, it's important. And talking to your kids even about masturbation. I mean,
Exactly.
what better way to relieve sexual tension when you're 14, 15 years old than by masturbating, as opposed to
Exactly.
relying on a partner.
And talking about healthy boundaries when it comes to that, and privacy.
Yes.
That's something that you can then segue into talking about healthy touch versus stranger danger versus tricky adults. There's so many things that can be brought up.
Yeah.
And that can be overwhelming to parents. Being one, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's not part of your job. You still have to put it out there. If you have questions about it, email us. We have lots of good resources,
we can always give you resources.
lots of guides.
And it can be very healing for you, like if you feel like you're carrying any shame from these kinds of things from your own childhood, to talk to your own kids in a healthy way can be healing. So I
Or
think
maybe
that's good.
if you don't have children, and that's part of the problem, is because you have an unconsummated marriage, because you haven't been able to successfully navigate your first sexual intercourse with your partner or with your wife or husband. Definitely give us a call. That's something that we do see. It doesn't happen super often, but at least
It
on a monthly
happens.
basis,
Oh, yeah.
we're getting clients coming in saying, hey, we're not able to have children. Wait, what does that mean? What does that look like? And then we find out that they haven't been able to have intercourse. And they're already thinking about fertility treatments. Well, let's get back to the basics and see if you can do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
And sure, we can give you lots of resources on specialists if you need that. The other thing is religious issues.
Yes.
Religious belief systems that either don't match with what you believe now as an adult, or that encourage you towards behaviors that just don't fit with you and your partner.
I think, regardless of the religious background that people are coming from, when it's overly rigid, when there's like a strict set of rules or something bad is going to happen to you.
There's some sort of consequence.
Yeah, exactly. That's when we tend to see problems, I would say.
And one of the things that we'll see more often than not is that we have partners that come from different spiritual belief systems and their backgrounds, and they're trying to navigate how their own spiritual belief systems view sexuality and how they're going to
how they're going to negotiate that with their partner if they're different, and where are the overlaps. And what I always find interesting is that there tend to be a lot more similarities than there are differences.
Right.
A lot of times.
And what else I found is that most spiritual belief systems do encourage healthy sexuality.
They do.
Even
if you look at the books, they do.
There are lots of websites that are coming out now that are encouraging, especially Christian couples, that are encouraging Christian couples to explore sexuality in a healthy way between them and have it be something that is appropriate.
I had a really refreshing experience recently where I had a client who came from a pretty strict religious background, and so the message was clear that she needed to wait until she was married to have sex, but there was also a lot of discussion about once she was married, how healthy sexuality was and how pleasurable it could be, and
what
how much fun she could have with her partner, and so that part of the discussion made it to where she wasn't anxious going into it. She felt really excited. So I think
that's something that as a couple, opening up that communication and just sharing your anxieties about it, and sharing even with a trusted elder or someone who's in your church or
a lot of times if you talk to someone who is one of your religious leaders, they'll tell you, hey, it's okay. It's okay to have these pleasures.
Definitely. Your challenge for this week, so hashtag hot seat. We want you to let us know, when I was 11, I thought sex was ... and fill in that blank. Funny, hilarious, sweet, coy, mysterious, whatever it is.
Whatever it was.
Whatever it is, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Hashtag hot seat. Again, if y'all have any questions for us, we'd love to hear them. Post them in the comments. We're constantly checking, and we'll be getting back to you with a lot of these answers throughout the month. So we hope you enjoyed today's session.
Yes, and this wraps up our series on sexual desire. Hopefully you learned something, and we're super excited for you to join us next time because we have a whole new range of topics to discuss.
And meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can reach Emily at revivetherapy.com, and you can reach me at texasrelationshiptherapy.com. Take care, guys.
Thanks.